Today I want to talk about Jehovah's Witness books. There's paper lecture like The Watchtower and The Awake, for instance, something that keeps on like changing on the regular. And then you have certain books like with the hardcovers, hardcover books. Some books were nice with nice pictures, and others were like traumatizing, like this one here. Maybe you've seen this one. Maybe you've seen this one. I don't know. Okay, let's get into this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Not many of you are watching and following my channel. If you're watching this video, you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate that. I'm very happy that other people, new people are joining. Well, let's go. So there's several books. There were so many books. I remember there were so many books. When it comes to Jehovah's Witness books with the hardcover, I remember in the book closet from my parents, there were so many books. I remember that they had a closet full of these books, like so many types of topics and lecture they are talking about, and they were discussing to get you into this religion, this cult, so much information to get you in there. I was kind of like interested in it, and sometimes I was looking inside them. There were some books that were interesting to me but never really understood, because most of them were for adults and not really for children. But there were children's books as well. When it comes to these hardcover books and books in general, when it comes to Jehovah's Witness, being a Jehovah's Witness, I found them, and I remember going to Kingdom Hall as a Jehovah's friend, because I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. I was coming along with it with my parents, and so I was Jehovah's friend. That's something that I realized apparently. I didn't even know that. I'm gonna be very honest, and call me stupid, I don't care. But because I was just going with my parents, that didn't mean I was a so you're not a Jehovah's Witness. That means that you're actually, what was it? Like an unpublished, I don't know, like I'm going to put it right here. And now I understand the whole idea of become Jehovah's friend, that whole children's thing. Become Jehovah's friend, and why it's called that, you know? So what I think is kind of interesting with cults and like all kinds of cults is that when you start there, they are saying like you need this type of book. Usually they're recommending a book when it comes to the information that you have to learn. It's kind of like learning theology or like education, having an education, studying something. There are like hundreds of books. I don't know, like but it's not necessarily about something that makes you think further. It's making you think. Like it's like an implosion of information instead of that. It's like broaden your horizon. It's not that. It's like imploding you into a system, one specific system, one specific organization, a society on its own that is making you think a certain way. Like if you want to have the love of God, of Jehovah, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to view the world in a certain way, and you have to do this, you have to do that. And so this is going to happen to you. This is happening, whatever, you know? That is what is being told. And it's always kind of interesting. There's like a whole variety on books about every kind of topic written, how to live. And that is kind of scary. I've seen that sometimes as well with people that want to live more like more rich, or with more wisdom, or more like in peace and health, like mental health. They think like this specific book helped me, and that can happen. Of course, that can be a trigger, but I don't think that only one specific solution is gonna help you for the rest of your life. I think you need to broaden your horizon on that, and that is not something that I see on this. Yeah, it does broaden your horizon, but it then also, like I said, implodes you. Like that is the best way for me to describe it. It sounds like it's imploding your thought process into a system, a societal system, that what it has to be, instead of that is broaden the idea of what it could be, you know? Okay, now I'm gonna talk about what types of books I'm talking about. Like, what kind of books are there that you can buy at conventions, that you can buy at Kingdom Halls? What can you get, what is out there, and also how I experienced it in the 90s and what has happened over time. What has happened, like what has changed in the idea of learning a Bible, learning whatever, you know? So I'm gonna start with the Bible itself. I remember we had this black Bible back in the day, and it was I looked it up, and there was the 80s edition. It was still an 80s format of the Bible, and it was like very like old English written. It was very like old written. It is hard to read. It's way harder to read. I'm gonna put a picture up here from Corinthians 5, and I'm gonna get up a verse from Corinthians that is about cheating, infidelity, whatever, and how it's written. And I'm going to put the 80s one and the one that is used now. So there's been a couple of Bibles after that until this one that they use, and you see that the way it's written is very different. It's more readable. It's easier to read now. So that's kind of interesting. The second book that I used to deal with a lot was the Songbook, singing praise of Jehovah or something like that was the wording, and it was this brown booklet. It was a brown leather booklet, look leather with golden letters on it. And I think it was like Sing Praise for Jehovah or something. I've looked into it a little bit. You can find the songs as well. Like there's still a physical book that I've found. Sing Joy for Jehovah or something like that. That is like a new type of book. Remember singing these songs. It was not very hard. But still, you need to understand the tone. So I was not really written into that, but I loved the singing. Didn't make me happy doing it, but still, I was doing it. It's a memory that I've had from the Kingdom Halls, being there as Jehovah's friend. It was an experience singing there. And so that was something that I did every week. So the next one is one of my favorites. It's the Young People Ask booklets. I think there were way more booklets about that topic. It was about actually getting into puberty, being young. It is about sexuality, it's about alcohol, drugs, or whatever, how to live as a young person, as a Jehovah's Witness. I always find that kind of fascinating. The Young People Ask booklets. I don't know if that is actually the word, but that's how we worded it. All like in our family, that's how we worded it. The Young People Ask booklets. It was an interesting, of course, it was kind of like far away from me because I was still a little child. So, but I remember like my sister and stuff, my brother maybe, they were getting into that a little bit more back then. But it was interesting. It was a little bit like far away from me. It was a little edgy. Let's say that. It was a little edgy. I think that's what it was like. It was a little edgy because these topics like sex and stuff were in there. So yeah, it was, of course, it wasn't really for me. So yeah, it was of interest because I had other people around me that were interested in it, but yeah, still how to live as a young person. This is the most heavy book I think that I've ever seen before. Beautiful stories, beautiful pictures, but there is one picture from this specific book that I remember from when I was a child, and it was a picture of Jesus being pinned, like nailed to a stake and bleeding from his hands. He had a stake, I'm gonna show it, like Jesus was on the stake with a nail through his hands, and he was suffering. That really was printed in my head as a child. That is the one picture that I remember that I looked at a lot because it was very heavy. And I remember other pictures as well from the book. And of course, I'm talking about the big yellow book with my Bible stories. It was a book for kids with all the stories, all kinds of stories from the Bible, with actually beautiful pictures that were illustrated, and then like easily readable stories about the Bible and what happened in there. But pictures in that book were so extreme. It were so extreme and vile. very scary pictures, very like the depiction of the actual stories for children were very scary. The golden calf, I can still remember that the people were praying to the golden calf, and my parents told me like that is a bad thing, and it was a very weird thing to me. Like these are very very heavy topics. Yeah, someone holding a baby upside down and like with a sword. Women that looked very vile and mean women and mean people, and people being healed, and people like there were so many extreme, actually not really children's topics to learn the Bible. And this is how I really see that this was all written from a gray man in gray suit perspective, the governing body, those peeps. There was a lot. That was very heavy. We also had the cassette tapes. We had this you had this brown cover, and you had a lot of cassette tapes in there. We had that as a home as well. And it was the 90s, of course, so from my brother, sister, and the 80s and stuff, maybe the 70s. I don't know where this book was actually from. I'm gonna put it in this video, so I'm not sure about the exact dates and stuff, but I remember actually using that in the 90s, and watching the booklet, and it was very heavy. Like I would be kind of terrified to talk with the children about this as an adult. Like, how do you explain these awful stories and these awful pictures? It's really doing something to these children, and I don't know, like it was for kids, but it was not for kids. Absolutely not. It was an adult book made for kids, and that is kind of crazy to me, actually. And then you have these kids books now. I think there actually are physical books, but they're not really there, because usually they are selling them at conventions and kingdom halls and stuff. But I gotta be honest, like I've been researching a little bit, and I've seen some kids things like workbooks and stuff. There are workbooks now for kids, and I can't remember that it used to be there, or at least not in my family, that it used to be there in the 90s, in the 80s. I can't remember that. There were actually workbooks for children that were explicitly for kids, but then still it's always the idea of like it's about God, it's about Jehovah, and like linking to Jehovah, or like indoctrination from a very young age. Okay, but yes, okay, we know that. But now I want to talk about how little physical media there, or like media, books, physical books are there. So it was already inside the congregation, the kingdom halls, the conventions and stuff, like the explicit things when it comes to meeting Jehovah's Witnesses, getting to buy these books. But now there's not that much physical media anymore. You have jw.org, and there you can find those things. I've seen all these workbooks and stuff, and these children's books, and also the Bible. You can find the whole Bible. You have several versions of the Bible. So a pocket version that also used to be a thing, one you can work with more and like read from, whatever. But then with the kids stuff, yeah, you have it in media, like online, with all these other books as well. What I've noticed, oh yeah, something that I forgot, with my book of Bible stories, I felt like the stories now have been a little calmer than they used to be, which is, I think, pretty good, but still indoctrination. Yeah, it's gone with the time a little bit. If you look at the jw.org website as well, it is organized, updated. Always amazed about how good it is, actually, and how good the animations are. And like it's really pretty good, actually. I'm scared. I'm like, so how could you do that when there was so much time that people couldn't learn things and stuff. Like, how did you do that? Is it a hobby? I don't know. It blows my mind sometimes. Getting into the conclusion, like I'm getting into a conclusion. If you made it this far in this video, like and subscribe and comment, please, because I really love that. I've seen it in my last video as well, that so many people have reacted. Thank you so much for that. I'm very grateful for everything, for the growth, for everyone I'm talking to. Like, so many people from so many different countries and stuff, and like cities in America, and like I've seen Scotland and Germany, and Polish people, and so cool. I just love it. It really, my internet field felt like it was 2004 and stuff, or something like that. It was so fun. It was so fun. And I would like to see more of that. And thank you very much for that. Yeah, my conclusion is, of course, it is propaganda. You know, it's like Jehovah's Witness propaganda for adults and for kids. So yeah, you have to own all these booklets to kind of understand what everyone has learned there. So if you're kind of new to a new system, a new society, a new organization, with the information that is giving through the people and the books are telling you how to live. And that's not really, that wouldn't be my thing, but yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. It's very cult like. These books, death and what is bad out there, a lot of things you can't do. So yeah, that is basically what I wanted to talk about. Thank you very much for watching. I'd like to see you again soon. I really enjoyed making this video. I really want to talk about this. Maybe you're very familiar with one of these books. Maybe you want to add some books that you have read or were your favorite, maybe as a child or when you were younger. Or what was the book that you've been using and why have you been using it? I really wonder. Just let me know. I'm gonna say, of course, I'm gonna say peace.